broker can still have that identity and that brand, because that's one of the number one things they think. This is the misconception, is that they think they're not going to be able to do their brand. All right. How to attract and sponsor independent brokers. All right. So that was a discussion that came up last week, and I thought I was going to go short, but now I realize I can talk forever if I really want to. And so let's talk about some of the things we're going to do, and we'll do this as a part two, if you will, and we'll actually make some calls to some independent brokers, some boutique brokers, because I got a few more, other than our friend Richard, who's calling me, Pimp Marty, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. I've shared that and everyone laughs. I just think it's great to have those stories, because now I can kind of share with that. So the number one reason that an independent broker would come over to EXP and to join the Legends International team is because of expenses and liabilities, all right, or overhead. The ability to grow outside their markets. We'll talk about that. Greater income opportunities so that they can make even more than they would have just been small in boutique in their small brokerage. And of course, network with other top team leaders. Because what happens when you have your broker's license and you partner up with EXP, you still are a broker licensed person, or you can be, but you're not actually the broker, right? So you are now just a sales agent or a real estate agent or whatever it is in your state or your country, and what you would classify if there's licensing required. That particular person now becomes more of a team leader, all right? They kind of convert from broker to team leader, powered by or brokered by EXP. So, for some people, let's go back to kind of the reason that people wouldn't do it. Well, the reason that a lot of people won't do it is that they have this misconception that their independent brokerage that has been around, and by the way, I got to follow up with someone who's had their brokerage. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I ran into a cleaning company, MB Cleaners, and her family has been in the real estate business for generations. Since 1911, they were brokers in the state of Minnesota. I'm like, you got to be kidding. And I'm like, well, I guess there was real estate brokers back then, right? I mean, wow, it just blew me away, because I'm thinking about companies that have been around since the 50s and 60s, but they literally have had a family independent brokerage since 1911. So I'm like, I really want to get them happily involved. And they only have like 3-4 people. But nonetheless, it'd be, a great one to approach. Now, think about it. They don't want to lose their name, because they've had that name forever. And the answer is they won't lose their name, but they have to modify their name. So if it was, let's just say it was Frank's Brokerage, it would be Frank's. It would still be Frank's, but it would just then be brokered by EXP. So the word like realty wouldn't, a lot of times won't be in their name anymore. So if it's like Frank's Realty, it just have to be Frank's Real Estate something. I forgot how we have to word it, but it can't be like it's a brokerage anymore. Here's an example. Kiva, who is one of the team leaders, was Key to something Realty. And then they just had to just drop the word realty. So it was still your key. Shoot, I wish I should have looked at that better. Anyways, but the point is that they have like a logo and they have branding. We're going to keep that intact. And then just underneath there, it's going to be brokered by EXP Realty, right? And there was a day when, you had to have 50% of the logo or branding had to be the broker's name. Well, now I think they've laxed that enough to, as long as it's obviously associated with a broker, it could be down to as little as, 30%, 20%. I've seen some that they're very lax on that now. I think the Department of Commerce realizes that these team brands like are a big deal, but they still have to at least make it look as though there's a broker associated with it. Now, if you look at the logo on this screen, this happens to be one of the logos where this would be like 20% is EXP, and well, not maybe 20, maybe a third or 30% is EXP, or excuse me, Legends International Team, and then and 2/3, or 70% would be brokered by EXP Realty. Doesn't always have to be that size. And some of these other ones, because I got my logo approved. In fact, yeah, like this one, you can see that this would be a switch where this would be 2/3 Legends International Team and only 1/3, brokered. And all of these are, by the way, are approved by corporate. So it doesn't always have to be 50-50 anymore. And so my point is that we want to make sure, excuse me, going back here, is that that broker can still have that identity and that brand, because that's one of the number one things they think. This is the misconception, is that they think they're not going to be able to do their branding. It might have to change a little bit, but their name and their logo and stuff will still be intact. All right, well, let's go back and talk about expenses and liabilities, because a small little boutique broker, that is renting space, or even if they own the space, they still have expense. Now, if they like to physically work out of that space, because some people want to leave their home office and go to an office that may be in their little downtown area so that they have good visibility, no problem. That's going to stay the same. We can't change that part. The expenses that I'm talking about are things like if you didn't have people working there and it wasn't in a great location where you have great visibility for the community, then you have everything from leases to property taxes to insurance for that particular location, and then everything from, like, whether it's a receptionist or an administration person to coffee to cleaning services to paper and ink and all these other things that an independent broker has to pay for. And I love these people who say, I don't really want to leave my broker because they're really good to me. I go, well, what do you mean? Well, we meet weekly and they're really nice, and there's free coffee, and I can always print my stuff there. And I'm like, okay, is there anything else? And it's like, that's like the only thing tying them to, quote unquote, and having loyalty to that broker, because it's just what they've always known, and it's convenient, and they get free coffee and copies. I mean, it just seems like, really? Okay. So if I can show you how to make, $500 more a month, would you be able to pay for your own coffee at Starbucks and your own paper and ink at your own home? Yeah, I could. All right, great. Well, then you should join EXP, right? So, I mean, if it comes down to just economics, it's not that tough to get through that discussion. But from a broker standpoint, there's a little bit of skin in the game. It's their reputation on the line. So it's going to be a little bit tougher. But the other thing is the liability part, because if they hire in an agent who has issues and it's going to sink their brokerage, that's an issue, from an E&O standpoint, errors and omissions, from a liability standpoint. A lot of times to have them working with EXP that then takes on that liability through our fee structure, which, as you know, we do have some fees that are charged, but it's a whole lot less typically than what a broker has to pay for themselves and for their agents. So dollar for dollar, it's actually going to save them money on that part of it too, and lessen their liabilities because they're now working with a bigger broker. And again, I can give some other examples of that, but the next thing I want to talk about is their ability to grow outside their market, because in brokerages, typically they're only brokered in one particular state, or even and they typically only work in one market. So like in Minnesota, we have a number of different markets and a number of different MLSs, although there are a lot of them are starting to kind of come together, which is kind of cool. But the fact is that they're really only experts in their specific area. So the ability to grow outside the market and have that kind of credibility with EXP is still a new name on the block, if you will, but it's going to become part of the thing where EXP now, all the top leaders that are with EXP are going to have better exposure. So EXP is going to be a whole lot more seen as the leading company over the next couple of years. And that's the funny thing. Once we become number one, we still won't be perceived as the leading company yet, but then give it a couple more years and then everyone will be like, oh, wow, yeah, they're totally dominating. And then in 5 years, it's going to be end of story, right? So that's the whole thing of people looking back, not forward, or looking at the present. And so when they want to expand outside of their farmed area or their market, they're going to have a lot better opportunity to connect with and talk about EXP and how they can grow. So for some people that, and not have to open up ever, offices in every market. If you think about it, like Taylor, she wanted to have an office, even though she has a home office. So we're like, yeah, great. And there's certain other offices. I've talked to some people, I forgot where, but they're just totally used to going into an office. And that's fine if you don't mind that that's what you want to do as the team lead or the broker. If you would rather get out of that and work from your home and have everyone independent and then just, get together weekly or monthly to just have that FaceTime, to high five and hug, you can do that in a lot of the other creative spaces, the success workplaces that you've been hearing about, the executive office suites that we do with Regis. Those are other places that you can still get together and do your meetings. And, for me, there's so many other free places that you can gather. Having an office to go to every day just, again, seems crazy. Greater income opportunity. We'll talk about that. Obviously, if it's just you and 4 people in your small boutique broker, if you think about it, they think, well, yeah, because I want to be able to control the 50-50 part. Well, guess what? If you want to do 50-50, like this other broker that we talked to the other day was doing, or 60-40 or 70-30, you can set yourself up as a mega team or as a standard team, if you will. And then you can set whatever amount, and then there is no cap for them. They can not ever cap if you don't want. You can control that they're always going to be 50-50. And that's, again, the other misconception. Even though all of us as independent people that I like to work with, who, because I'm not the pimp controlling everyone and everything, I want people to be at 100% and be free to grow and do what they want. And so, I want people to be icon, and I want people to cap. But if you are setting up your brokerage where, because of the economics of what you do as far as lead generation and how you support them and how you help them, if you want to leave them at 50-50, no matter how much volume they do, you can do that too. But the good news is that you're also going to be missing out on people who want 80-20 or 90-10 or want 100%. And if they don't get it, they're going to go somewhere else. That was me. As an entrepreneur, I left my nephew, who took over the brokerage from my mother-in-law, who's passed now. It's been about 8 years. And he didn't want to go past 80-20, and he didn't want to do commercial. Well, now as it turns out, he's doing commercial, and he's still at 80-20 with his team, and he's built up a nice brokerage, but it's still a boutique brokerage with like 11, 12 people. But I was the number one guy, and I was going to do commercial, and I wanted to be at 90-10, and we could have done a lot of great stuff, and he would have made a lot of overrides on me over the years. But instead, because he put his foot down and said 80-20, and that's the best you can do, it was easy for me as an entrepreneur to then just go elsewhere. And then I went to 100%. Well, why would I go from 100%? Just like a broker. Think about this. Why would an independent broker who's at 100% go to 80-20 with EXP? And the answer is because the greater amount of income opportunity from all the other people and all of the rev share opportunity beyond your brokerage anywhere in the world will far exceed the kind of money that you could make running your own independent broker. So it really comes down to that flexibility, thinking bigger, reducing expenses, having greater income potential, and then the ability to continue to network and share ideas with other team leaders that will continue to help you grow your team, whether it's a traditional team locally or an international team or a group of like-minded agents like I'm doing with RevShare. Because a lot of these people are not on my traditional team. They're just part of the Legends International team, which is a branded group of like-minded agents that are working together as part of the same collective rev share. That's different than an actual team, because that's, in your local market, typically you're going to commission split and share with agents that you're working with. All right, guys. Well, thanks. I appreciate you guys being here. And for those who like to stick around, I'll do some questions and answers. But I want to be able to be respectful and say bye for now for those people that have to go. And with that, I will also then stop the recording. Take care, guys.